When people talk about the best defenses in NFL history, they immediately jump to either the '85 Bears or the 2000 Raiders. But if you're talking about the most feared defense, well, that
For him, agony was just a mental game. He figured if you let the hurt get inside your head, you were already defeated. Despite the carnage, he never stopped dressing for game day. Seriously, the man was arguably the hardest nails operator to ever step on the gridiron. Get this, 15 consecutive seasons, 0 absences, a total Iron Man. His philosophy was simple: if there is a game, I am starting and I am playing. No matter what, he was owning the center of that field. Ladies and gentlemen, say hello to Jim Otto, the absolute king of NFL grit. We are talking countless blown knees, shoulders, and elbows resulting in wait for it 74 operations. Yeah, Jim Otto was a certified bad dude. But here is the kicker. Fresh out of university, he stood 6'2" and weighed just 205 pounds. For a center, that is microscopic. Modern centers tip the scales over 300 pounds, so scouts took one peek and figured he would get crushed in the line of scrimmage. Result, he went completely undrafted in 1960. Turns out, getting ignored was actually the biggest blessing of his career. While the NFL said pass, the upstart American Football League was desperate for dudes with chips on their shoulders. Otto was exactly the kind of hungry brawler they needed. The AFL just needed warm bodies, and Otto was available. So when the Oakland Raiders dialed his number, he leaped at the opportunity to make the doubters look stupid. Oakland's inaugural run was a disaster. They went 6-8, a totally mediocre start in a league people thought would fold anyway. They were basically homeless, hopping between Kezar and Candlestick Park in San Francisco before finally planting their flag in Oakland. 1961 was even nastier, a humiliating 2-12 record, dead last. Coaches got fired, players got cut. It was a revolving door of misery. Yet, amidst all that dumpster fire chaos, one guy remained rock solid, Otto. He started from day one, injecting pure grit into a fragile squad. He did not have the physique of a beast, so he compensated by playing like a total psycho. For him, every single snap was hand-to-hand combat. You have to understand, the AFL back then was like the Wild West. Defenders would sucker punch you, gouge your eyes, and hit late without worrying about flags. Otto literally got his teeth knocked out. It was not sports, it was organized riots. And there was Jim, right in the eye of the storm. Too small on the stat sheet, but scrapping like a maniac to ensure nobody bullied him. He kept this up constantly, even during the abysmal 1-13 season in 1962, with his nose smashed and ribs cracked. He would limp off the grass covered in crimson. He was practically mummified in athletic tape, just to stay upright, yet he always returned to the huddle. Then came 1963, when Oakland flipped the script from joke to juggernaut. Enter Al Davis, the new boss. He demanded speed, attitude, and a mean streak that made other teams terrified to show up on Sunday. Jim Otto was the prototype Davis needed. The guy was the meanest center in the league, snapping balls with taped-up broken fingers and agonizing knees while his face was a roadmap of scars. He was easy to spot because he was the guy leaking red, just totally covered in gore. His schnoz was perpetually sliced open, digits mangled. As Davis built his machine that year, Otto was literally the centerpiece. The Raiders transformed from losers to a 10-4 powerhouse overnight. Finally, a winning record for the franchise. By 1963, everyone respected Otto, but the cost was high. His nose had been shattered so often it looked like mashed potatoes. His knees were failing fast, yet he pushed through the agony. The man was so addicted to the game he simply refused to quit. His passion was unmatched, and he was the most reliable guy on the turf. In his memoir, The Pain of Glory, he wrote that his paycheck was for playing ball, not chilling with the medical staff. Fast forward to 1967, Oakland goes nuclear with the Mad Bomber, Darryl LaMonica, launching deep rockets. Their offense was absolute nightmare fuel for defenses. They crushed it with a 13-1 record, posting a league-best 468 points. That is averaging over 33 points every single match. Otto had graduated from respected to terrifying. But the legend was not about the W's, it was about the torture he withstood to stay on the field. His nose got obliterated again, ribs constantly battered, knees practically disintegrating. He ran on cortisone shots, adhesive tape, and sheer stubbornness. One year, his ribs were so busted he had to mummy wrap his chest just to inhale. Add double pneumonia to the mix, hacking up red stuff between downs. Did he sit out? Not a chance. It all climaxed in December 1967. They annihilated the Houston Oilers 40-7 to snag the AFL crown. That victory sent them to Super Bowl II against Vince Lombardi's legendary Packers. Otto fought like a warrior, but Green Bay was too much, stomping them 33-14. Still, Oakland was officially heavy hitters, with Otto as the unshakable rock in the mayhem. Even with his body falling apart, he was universally hailed as the best center in the game, dominating season after season. Check this stat. He is the only guy in AFL history to make All-Star every single year the league existed. In 1969, they made another deep run to the title game. Jim did not miss a beat, serving as the pulse of a star-studded squad. His start streak stayed alive even while his anatomy screamed quit. But stopping was not in his vocabulary. He called his wounds gladiator battle scars. A warrior fights until he drops. When the AFL and NFL merged in 1970, everyone had one big question. Could the flashy AFL boys survive against the gritty NFL vets? For Jim Otto, that was a joke. He entered the new era, already stitched up, scarred over, and tougher than leather. Dude immediately showed he was the real deal among the NFL elite. But if you want to know how gnarly it got, picture Otto playing with his jaw literally wired shut after getting it smashed in a game. The man couldn't chew solid food and could barely speak, but he still handled every line call and snapped the ball for the Raiders like a boss. He cracked the Pro Bowl roster his rookie year, making it loud and clear he wasn't just some AFL holdover. He was straight up one of the best centers to ever lace him up. Even Bobby Bell, the linebacker from the rival Kansas City Chiefs, had to admit, Jim is the best center I've ever faced, period. You just couldn't keep the guy down. And that jersey number? 00. When you saw those goose eggs, that was bad news. Smart move was to stay far away from the 00 guy. The Raiders, true to form, kept breaking hearts back then, making deep playoff runs only to choke right before the Super Bowl. But no matter how the season tanked, Otto was a machine. By the early 70s, everyone called him Mr. Raider, a nickname he'd basically owned for years anyway. It was official now. But behind the scenes, his body was falling apart. We're talking over a dozen major surgeries already under his belt. Doctors had sliced and stitched his knees so many times that just standing up from a recliner was a workout in pain tolerance. His shoulders were hanging on by scar tissue and athletic tape. Bones reset, ligaments reattached. Cartilage scraped down to the bone he was running on fumes. Every step off the field reminded him of the price he paid. But the second Sunday rolled around, Otto flipped a switch. Guys in the locker room said it was like watching a transformation. The dude was hands down one of the toughest players to ever step on a gridiron. We're talking pure blood and guts here. He'd be in the huddle, all banged up, with blood literally dripping down his face mask. Through 1973 and 74, with the Raiders chasing a title, Otto remained the rock of that offense. But finally, in 74, after 15 brutal seasons, he hung up the cleats. He was the walking definition of that franchise's grit, tough as nails and too stubborn to quit. I threw everything I had at those guys just to be a thorn in their side. That was the goal, every snap. I might not be the best ever, but I'll fight anyone who thinks they're better. Get this, Otto went under the knife something like 74 times because of football injuries. 28 of those were just on his knees. He got both knees and shoulders replaced, plus a bunch of back and neck surgeries where they literally bolted his spine together. He dealt with over 20 broken noses, cracked ribs, busted every single finger, and even played through that wired-shut jaw. None of it sidelined him. Dude had his teeth kicked in and nerve damage that left his arms totally numb. He fought through double pneumonia and still suited up on Sunday. He took hit after hit to the head back when the league didn't even acknowledge concussions. Otto admitted he'd black out, stagger back to the huddle, and still snap the ball the next play. That isn't just playing football. That is sacrificing your body for the game. Through 15 seasons of violence and pain that would crush a normal person, Jim Otto never missed one single start. 210 straight regular season games, plus every single playoff matchup. He wouldn't even sit out practice reps. Coach John Madden said his skills were flawless, and he was the kind of guy who refused to leave the field, even in training. Total opposite of most starters who beg for a sub. Jim was the Oakland Raiders center, and he wasn't letting anyone else take his spot. That's why his number is legendary. It tells the whole story. 0 excuses, 0 games missed. But retirement was a nightmare. Otto battled life-threatening infections from all those surgeries and nearly died 3 separate times. At one point, the guy went 6 months without a right knee joint. His leg was basically hollow while doctors scrambled to keep him alive. In 2007, they had to amputate that leg above the knee after another infection. He even fought off prostate cancer later. Looking back, the stats are insane. 210 straight starts, 74 surgeries, 28 knee ops, 3 brushes with death, and losing a leg. Sounds more like a trauma ward report than a football resume. But Otto never saw it like that. To him, every scar and broken bone was a badge of honor, proof he gave everything. He even told the Sacramento Bee in 2022 that he'd do it all over again, no regrets. That's part of who I am forever. And honestly, I think that's exactly why I'd come back and do it all again. When talking about the toughest players ever, people love bringing up Brett Favre and his Iron Man streak, 297 games playing through sprains and broken thumbs. But Otto's streak of 210 games, he did that at center, smashing headfirst into 300-pound defensive linemen on every single play. Yeah, Ronnie Lott famously chopped off a fingertip to stay in the game, but Otto was getting entire joints replaced and still coming back for more. And sure, Ray Lewis was scary, but even he didn't have to deal with 74 surgeries, spinal fusions, and losing a leg just to play the game. Real talk, no one in NFL history took more of a beating, kept standing, and redefined toughness quite like Jim Otto. Pain is just a mindset. As Otto put it, I just got used to it. If I didn't break my nose in a game, I wondered if I was trying hard enough. No scuff marks on the helmet, I wondered if I was hitting hard enough. Commitment to excellence, pride, poise. Jim Otto was the poster boy for all of that. For over a decade, he was the gold standard every other center was measured against. That was Jim Otto, hands down the grittiest player in NFL history. Jim O, the ultimate Raider. If you dug this video, stick with NFL facts. Hit subscribe and check out our other stuff right here.